Away in Johannesburg. The last Congress was held 20 years ago in Uganda. Now this year's theme is mobilizing global Africans for renaissance and unity and looking at the social and economic conditions of African descendants. That of course today. Quite a mouthful I would say, but Dr. Simphiwe Sisanti is a participant in the gathering and he joins us in studio to give us a little bit more clarity. Good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Yuna. Good morning to you.
Let's give a little bit more background about the Pan-African Congress. Where did it all begin?
Quickly, it is a culmination of a series of Pan-African Congresses that had begun in 1919, led by W.B. Du Bois in Paris. But before that, there was the Pan-African Conference that was then, led by Sylvester Williams, a Trinidadian. And so thereafter, a series of Pan-African Congresses took place, 1921, 1923, 1927, 1945, which is regarded as a very important one, because that's when Africans gathered in Manchester, beginning no longer saying that we are begging, petitioning for freedom, but demanding freedom now and independence. Right. And that culminated in the liberation, of the African continent, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, and all that. And so thereafter, there was the one that was reassessing, because independence, political independence, did not usher much to the Africans. 1974, they gathered in Tanzania. And later, as you know, the 1994 Pan-African Congress that took place in Kampala, Uganda, where the Africans had realized that independence had not delivered much. They were still suffering humiliation and all that. And they began to say, don't agonize, organize. And so this is what has taken place now. Africans all over the world, from America, from the East, from Europe, from the African continent itself, have gathered this year and are beginning to reflect and to look at what has happened to them as Africans continue being humiliated at home and abroad. And so for those are the issues. And they are saying mobilizing global Africans for renaissance and unity. So
20 years down the line, the Ugandan issue, how far along the line have we come?
20 years from Uganda, the Africans, there were some contradictions and conflicts amongst Pan-Africans themselves. Some were saying that everyone, like the Arabs who are here, everyone is in Africa, the continental approach. And so from then on, some issues were shelved because some sensitivities had to be accommodated. The issue of reparations from the Africans who were not only enslaved by the Europeans, by the Arabs as well. And so this year, Africans are beginning to say that we've got to look squarely into our problems and not dilly-dally about them, because this has prolonged the suffering of the Africans, and Africans are saying this year. So no, we need to go it alone, and doing that, we need to speak clearly about reclamation, reclamation and reparations. And reparations are not just referring to the global in the Americas and Europe, but in Africa as well, because you recall that the African people have been dispossessed. The issues of land have not yet been articulated. So those are the issues. But just before quickly, what needs to be emphasized is that throughout all this period, Africans have not seriously considered and thought about their African philosophy, their African culture, and how this plays in organizing, mobilizing Africans for unity, not just for the elite, but for all the African people.
What are we focusing on now?
What we're focusing on now is the question of a reclamation to Africans to begin to redefine themselves, because all along they've been defined by the others. Mudimbe would refer to what is referred to as the invention of Africa. The world decided that Africans were simply a bunch of tribes. There is nothing African about them beyond that. And so Africans are beginning to say that there's a common culture that unites us from Cape to Cairo and all over the African continent. And that should be the basis. And so that being the case, not just for sentimental purposes, because education plays a very important and critical part. Education for the Africans remain being Eurocentric. They continue being defined by others instead of defining themselves. And so those are the major issues that are very important for the African people, so they can advance politically and economically.
Absolutely, and socially as well. Just finally, it's happening in Johannesburg. Who's attending it?
It's Africans from all over the world, as I was saying, academics, activists, thinkers, intellectuals, and by intellectuals I don't mean simply the elite, but all those that are preoccupied with ideas, with concepts that are going to address the issues on the African continent.
All right, final day today, Johannesburg, at the Witwatersrand University. If anybody wants to attend, can they come down, or is it a closed session?
No, people are willing, and especially today, there are going to be resolutions that are made at the conference. And Leona, before we part, I just need to quickly say that we also, this month is significant that we're paying tribute to the assassination of one of the greatest revolutionaries, Patrice Lumumba, who was killed for demanding true and real freedom for the African people on January 17, tomorrow. And Amilcar Cabral, one of the serious and committed revolutionaries, was also assassinated in 1973. Who led, yeah.
Thank you for talking to us. Good luck for the final day today. Well, you heard it's an open session. If you'd like to go down to the University of the Witwatersrand, Wits University, we'll put that graphic back on the screen so you'll be able to see the details there. But talking to us about it, Dr. Simphiwe Sisante, talking to us about this particular 8th Pan-African Congress that was last held 20 years ago in Uganda. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Let's take a